I'm ready when you are. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Canton City Council. Council members, I want to remind you to please have your earbuds in, and if everybody could please turn their cell phones to vibrate. We are encouraging social distancing here in council tonight. With a quorum being present, the chair calls this meeting of Canton City Council to order. Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Smuckler. Here. Babcock. Here. Shulman.
Here.
Hawk. Here. Kimbrough. Here. Scaglione. Here. Smith. Here. Fisher. Hall. Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson. Here. Morris.
Here.
10 present, 2 absent, Mr. President.
Leader.
Mr. President, I move we excuse members Fisher and member Hall from tonight's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse member Fisher and member Hall from this evening's meeting. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuckler. Aye. Babcock. Aye. Shulman.
Aye.
Hall. Aye. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Aye. Smith. Aye. Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson. Aye. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and member Fisher and member Hall are excused from this evening's meeting. Tonight's invocation will be given by Ward 7 Council Member John Murrell. If you would all please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As Ohio surpasses 1 million COVID cases, let us remember those who have been lost to COVID-19. Let us all do our part to beat this virus and protect the most vulnerable of our society by following the guidelines, wearing masks, and trusting the science on getting vaccinated. Thank you.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, member. We are now under agenda corrections and changes. Leader Smuckler.
Mr. President, I move Rule 22A be suspended to add second readings of ordinances 12 through 21 to this evening's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to add second readings to ordinances 12 through 21 to this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuckler.
Aye.
Babcock. Aye. Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk. Aye. Kimbrough. Aye. Scaglione. Aye. Smith. Aye. Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson. Aye. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and ordinances 12 through 21 are a legal part of your agenda. We are now hearing for this evening. We are now under old business, and there is no old business for this evening. We are now under informal resolutions, and we have one for this evening. Mr. Clerk, would you please read informal resolution number 6 by title?
Authorize the Direct Safety Director to open one or more purchase orders in total amount not to exceed $30,420 for cameras and microphone system for interview rooms and detective bureau.
Later.
Mr. President, I move we adopt resolution number 6.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 6. Are there any remarks? Okay. Hearing none by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and informal resolution number 6 is adopted. Okay. Yeah, I got you. We are now under public speaks, and we have one speaker for this evening. And our only speaker for this evening is Miss Kimberly Bell. Miss Bell, just want to remind you that you have 3 minutes, and could you please state your name and residential address, please?
Yes, Kimberly Bell. I do have an address now. I haven't moved in yet. Because it's Mahoney Manor, but it's a place. But I want to talk about what I left off with last time I was here with the mayor. And you've worked in every department in this building, and you have not given anybody else the same opportunities you have had over the years. You've made your $100,000 over and over and over more than 10 times. And you should be bored with it. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're not. But how do I get to your status where I could just do what I want in this building? You've been in this building since it's been here. And you go from one department to the next, but doesn't seem like nothing's getting done as far as helping the 3 issues that I started coming here for, with the gun violence, the jobs for those just coming out of the prison system, and those for you may have gotten a couple of people jobs, but those couple of people is not going to pay those other 10 that's coming out of the system that don't have a job or can't get into any kind of work program. So we got to be creative. I was one of those people years ago, but I've been out the system for over 20 years now. And maybe that's why I'm so, I argue my point to every employer that the fairness is just that you show towards your white counterparts versus us black people. It's unfair and it's unjust. You just keep on letting them get away with stuff. And Mayor, you've had this job long enough, and you've befriended so many black people since you've been in this building, but there's the black community still is suffering. I mean, every time I look at these papers and come in here, you done created a job for somebody else. Miss Frashoni, my friend Pratt Wyatt. You created jobs for them. Why can't you create jobs for somebody else? Those were your friends you got those jobs for. So you got to come up with something, or those people that's coming out the prison system are going to be in here, and you'll probably be done retired, but you could have solved the problem while you was in this building.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. We are now under communications. Let the journal show that all communications are received as read. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for the first reading. Mr. Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 1?
An ordinance authorizing the clerk of council to certify to the county auditor a list of unpaid and delinquent charges for services performed by and/or on behalf of the city of Canton Engineering Department, Urban Forestry Division, declaring same to be an emergency, referred to finance. Number 2, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public service to execute a professional service contract with IBI Group for design of the Perry Drive Northwest Water Main Replacement Project, amending the 2021 final appropriation ordinance and declaring same to be an emergency, referred to finance. Number 3, an ordinance adopting the 2021 annual appropriations for the city of Canton and declaring same to be an emergency. Number 4, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, that's also referred to finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public safety to enter into any and all contracts necessary to respond to the 701 Rex Avenue Northeast demolition, authorizing the auditor to pay any and all more obligations from response to this emergency situation, declaring same to be an emergency, refer to finance. Number 5, ordinance amending Exhibit A to ordinance number 100/2011 as amended classification plan for non-bargaining unit personnel employed by the city of Canton, declaring same to be an emergency, refer to personnel. Number 6, ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts advertise, see bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, enter into contract for the construction, enter into contract for the purposes of receiving grant funds, enter into all necessary agreements as needed, including but not limited to with Wheeling and Lake Erie Railroad and Timken Steel, and secure all easements needed for the Timken Place Clark Avenue Connector Project, GP 1313, and authorizing the Mayor, Director of Public Safety to permanently close the railroad crossing at 19th Street Southwest, just west of Cleveland Avenue, authorizing her to pay all moral obligations for contract change orders, declaring same to be an emergency, referred to Public Property Capital Improvement and Finance. Number 7, ordinance authorizing the Mayor, Director of Public Service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, enter into contract for the construction for the Market Avenue South Streetscape Project Phase 2, GP 1319, authorizing her to pay all moral obligations for contract change orders and declaring same to be an emergency, referred to Public Property Capital Improvement and Finance. Number 8, ordinance authorizing Mayor, Director of Public Service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, enter into contract for the construction for the City Welcome Signs, GP 1314 project, authorizing her to pay all moral obligations for contract change orders and declaring same to be an emergency, referred to Public Property Capital Improvement and Finance. Number 9, ordinance authorizing the Mayor, Director of Public Service to enter into design contract for the West Tuscarawas Corridor Safety Project, Phase 1, GP 1165, and declaring same to be an emergency, refer to Public Property Capital Improvement and Finance. Number 10, ordinance authorizing the Mayor, Director of Public Service to enter into easement agreement with the Ohio Power Company, a unit of American Electric Power, AEP, for the installation of an electric distribution system and declaring same to be an emergency, referred to Environmental and Public Utilities. Number 11, ordinance authorizing the IR to pay Domestic Violence Project, Inc., moral obligation in an amount not to exceed $73,684.60 for emergency shelter activities and declaring same to be an emergency, refer to Finance. Mr. President.
At this time, the chair would declare an in-house recess for the Finance, Personnel, Public Property, Capital Improvement, and Environmental and Public Utilities Committees to meet in regards to ordinances 3 through 11 on your agenda this evening. You are now in recess.
Mr. President,
Member Murrell.
7:13, we'll call Finance to order. We have an ordinance adopting the 2021 annual appropriations for the City of Canton and declaring the same to be an emergency. We all heard the presentation that Director Kraus gave us. I just wanted to say that I think you would be hard-pressed in the state of Ohio to find a city that has managed their budget and been good stewards of taxpayer dollars like the City of Canton has. During the presentation, the financial health indicators really, I think, is just something that we should all be very proud about. The fact that we went from having a majority of classifications in the red category to only having one in the red and the rest in the green. That to paying down the amount of debt we've paid down from almost $27 million down to under $9 million. These things have helped us be able to weather this very difficult year because of the pandemic and what is probably going to be a crisis immediately for many cities. The City of Canton can start to plan and weather some of the effects of remote work. So I think it's something that we should all be very proud about, and it's an amazing feat what we've been able to do with the finances. Does anybody have any additional questions on the budget on this ordinance?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Member Morris.
Chairman. Finance Director. I'm kind of, I'm not feeling as warm and fuzzy as everybody else right now. You said we had a one-time intake of approximately, $7.9 million. So our actual revenue in 2020 was $56 million. Now, you said you didn't feel comfortable giving us a projection in 2021 on what our revenue is going to be, and I can respect that. But currently, we are showing between last year's revenue and 2021 budget a deficit of $8 million. With the repeal of House Bill 197, that could be another potential $8 million. What is our contingency plan? What are we looking at here? Because this looks pretty grim.
Yeah, Mr. Morris, yeah, we are projecting $58.3 million for revenue in 2021. One thing that we have done to the auditor's certificate is we've reduced their certificate by $1.4 million to cover the shortfall in the general fund, which we think if the House bill does pass, and we think that it may go away in July, and we've covered that loss of revenue with a reduced certificate for 2021 to cover that expenditure. Now going forward in 2022 and beyond, we will have that problem, but in 2021 we have it covered. We have a $58 million revenue projection. We're going to have $64 million expenditures. Our carryover balance was over $9 million, almost $10 million. So we do have some dollars to cover our expenditures for 2021. And then the elephant in the room would be we're not sure what happens with the COVID relief dollars that it's been reported that we're going to receive in 2021. And with those dollars, we will definitely be very, very conservative, and we'll be able to possibly use those dollars as revenue replacement and or cost replacement for safety forces. So in 2021, 22, 23, 24, I think we're probably okay. Beyond that, I think then that becomes a problem.
Okay. So with our carryover, we're pretty good for 2021. And then everything past 2021 has a lot to do with House Bill 190, and we come in with the COVID relief funds.
Yes, and then also,
Okay.
Mr. Morris, sorry, also in that in the expenditure line item, we do have $1.5 million that are from the parks funds if the park levy doesn't pass. So we anticipate really that the park levy will pass. So that would reduce our expense liability to about $62.5 million.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Yeah, Leader.
Sometimes I'm here just for history. I sat here for 8 years when budgets weren't balancing. And since the income tax increase, since the COVID money, we're not only balancing, we're exceeding expectations by doing things not only in the downtown area, but in the neighborhoods. We're doing police reconnaissance work for fiber optic going out into Ward 3. We're doing more paving than we ever did, probably in those 8 years combined. It's not that anybody's warm and fuzzy. I'm just feeling a lot better where we're at compared to where we were. And I, for one, support this. Mark, don't we have some type of idea how much that $1.9 trillion budget legislation that came out, how much the city might get?
Mr. Smuckler, yes, we have an indication that we're going to be getting somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 million. It'll be split over two payments, one that we'll receive in 60 days. The other payment we'll receive in 2022.
Was that 60 million I heard?
I'd like to say no, but yes. Yes, it is.
That's where my vote's at. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this budget shows a great deal of hard work and detail put into it, and I'm going to concur with Mr. Smuckler. This administration has brought this city a long way with some very fine budgets that have worked all the way through to be balanced and took us from a heck of a deficit to a very positive outcome. I will support this budget wholeheartedly because it shows and explains to everybody quite openly how much hard work we put into this and how much detail was placed in it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinance number 4, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public safety to enter into any and all contracts necessary to respond to the 701 Rex Avenue Northeast demolition, authorizing the auditor to pay any and all moral obligations from responding to this emergency situation and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, on December 16th of 2020, there was a fire at this location on Rex Avenue, and this is a moral obligation that's owed to pay for the demoing of this property that was deemed an unsafe structure.
Okay, anyone have any questions on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Yep.
To the safety director, whoever owns this property, is that put on the tax duplicate then, or how's this done?
Yes, we try to go after those individuals if we can have the information for the property once we have to do the demo. Yes, we work in conjunction with the law department.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinance number 11, an ordinance authorizing the auditor to pay Domestic Violence Project Incorporated a moral obligation in an amount not to exceed $73,684.60 for emergency shelter activities and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, these are emergency shelter dollars for the Domestic Violence Project. When our CD department went to open up PO, they needed an additional appropriation in order to open this PO. Council approved the ordinance at the February 22nd meeting to increase the appropriation. Therefore, now we can open up the purchase order once this ordinance is approved. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Hearing none, we'll sign it out at 7:23. That concludes finance.
723, personnel. It's number 5. It's an ordinance amending Exhibit A to ordinance number 100/2011 as amended the classification plan for non-bargaining unit personnel employed by the city of Canton and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, back in April of 19, we created a position for a part-time crime analyst as we continue to civilianize various positions within the police department. As we have been attempting to go through the process to recruit, and due to the additional camera installation and some of the various initiatives that are in the police department, we feel it's necessary to elevate this position to a full-time position in order to obtain a qualified candidate for this position.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I hope this isn't me all night, but I do have one question. Is this, safety director, as we keep adding cameras on, I know this is being taped, is on videos, somebody's going through this. How is this going to continue to work?
We have Chief Angelo on the line. Chief Angelo, would you like to address that?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what we're doing is we're continuing to save these videos. Of course, we can't watch every camera all the time. However, with the addition of this crime analyst, we will have 24-hour coverage most days. And again, as it grows, we've also reduced the retention time on these cameras to reduce the cost of cloud storage.
But what this new position is going to do is allow us to dig deeper into analysis and to do forecasting that a lot of other major cities are already doing. We do a little bit of that now, but this person who has the college degree will be able to definitely dig deeper into all of our stats. But as far as the cameras go, yes, most of them are they're all recorded, but most of everything we do is going back and looking at the videos in the areas where the crimes occur.
Chief, when you're talking about forecasting, you're talking about where crimes are taking place?
Yes, and where we feel crimes patterns will grow, other areas, so we can concentrate our enforcement efforts and surveillance efforts in those areas, hopefully to do it prior to the crime occurring.
So it's even more important that the public, even though there's frustration, call in and state where they've had a problem. Is that correct?
Yes, we just had a rash of 150 car break-ins, and a combination of the officers, residents calling in, and our crime center, we were able to make those arrests. And that it was people calling in that triggered the beginning of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good question.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chief. And we'll sign this out. It is 7:28. That concludes personnel. Thank you.
7:28, I'd like to call the joint session of Public Property, Capital Improvement, and Finance to order. This is ordinance 6 on your agenda. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, enter into contract for the construction, enter into contract for the purpose of receiving grant funds, enter into all necessary agreements as needed, including but not limited to with Wheeling Lake Erie Railroad and Timpkin Steel, and secure all easements needed for the Timpkin P.L. Clark Avenue Connector Project GP 1313, and authorizing the mayor or director of public safety to permanently close the railroad crossing at 19th Street Southwest, just west of Cleveland Avenue, authorizing the auditor to pay all moral obligations for the contract change orders and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is the first of 4 ordinances before council tonight that we're kind of pegging as the comprehensive plan 2021 capital improvement projects being run through the engineering department. This particular area and project is in the Timken Core asset area. First and foremost, the project total cost is $800,000. Between grant funds and an agreement with the railroad, we have $550,000 covered, leaving only $250,000 share for the city. Effectively, what we're doing here is we're creating a new connecting road from the previously vacated Timpkin Steel Drive at the railroad crossing, and we're creating a new road to the intersection of Clark and 20th Street. So that will help the traffic flow in the area around Timpkin Steel where those other roads were vacated some time back. We've worked with Member Fisher, informed residents in the area. We think this will be of benefit to everyone, both business and residents in the area. The one component of this that is referenced is a closing of a redundant railroad track. There are multiple crossings in the area, and as a part of this project, the crossing impacted here will be redone. So we think it's a win-win-win for everybody and a good project.
Questions, concerns on this ordinance? Hearing none, we'll sign that one out and move on to ordinance 7 on your agenda. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, enter into contract
for the construction of the Market Avenue South Streetscape Project Phase 2, GP 1319, authorizing the auditor to pay all moral obligations for contract change orders and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, as discussed last year, this is phase 2 of a 3-phase streetscape project where we're connecting Market from downtown effectively to the Hercules area. We're doing this in advance of the large-scale 11th Street project that will then connect Route 30 to downtown. So effectively what we're looking at doing here is picking back up at 5th Street and continuing approximately to Reynolds Place southeast, so a few more blocks south. And this is, in terms of these particular projects in the first reading request, this is one that we need to get the design contract kind of started and done ASAP so that we can have the project bid and under contract and actually built this summer. So another good project, and excited to see it move forward.
Questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll sign this one out and move on to ordinance number 8. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into design or construction oversight contracts, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into construction contracts. Alternatively, entering into contract for the construction for the city welcome sign GP 1314 project, authorizing the auditor to pay all moral obligations for contract change orders and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is a project that's been in the planning phase for probably more than a year now, working with multiple ward council people, other council people, neighborhood groups, etc. What we're looking to do here is install Canton Gateway welcome signs at 4 different locations. They include the I-77 southbound West Tusk exit, the US 62 eastbound Market Avenue exit, the US 62 eastbound Cleveland Avenue exit, and the US 62 westbound 30th Street exit. The project will include both signs and landscaping. Where we're at with the project is ODOT, because it's all being done in ODOT right-of-way. ODOT has approved of the signs. So what we're looking to do with this project is do a design-build contract here in the very immediate future, whereas the design, it's a different form of procurement where the design, a company effectively also does the subcontracting work. And given this type of project and the design that needs to be done from a landscaping standpoint, we believe that it lends itself to this type of procurement. So effectively what we'll do is we'll go out for the quals for the design build contract. Once we have someone on board, we'll get moving with the sign piece, and they'll actually design the landscaping, and we'll have to go back to ODOT for ODOT to approve that. So between engineering, planning, council, ODOT, neighborhood groups, other community organizations in the impacted areas, this is a cool project and kind of a long time coming. So we're hoping to get this under contract soon so that we can actually have some signs up this summer.
Questions, concerns, comments on this? Hearing none, we'll sign that one out and move on to ordinance number 9. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into design contracts for the West Tuscarawas Corridor Safety Project Phase 1 GP 1165 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, I suspect this will be the first of what will be many discussions and ordinances about this particular project. So long term, what we're looking at doing is an approximate $45 million overhaul of West Tusk from I-77 west to the corporate limits. What we're doing here is starting the initial design of Phase 1, which is currently planned to go from approximately I-77 to Broad Avenue. Ballpark costs right now for Phase 1 are $15 million. And obviously this is pending the receipt of outside funds and some other things working out. So those numbers could change, and the project limits could change depending on funding, depending on design, and the other factors that we're looking at. So that's the purpose of this contract, is to take our conceptual design and turn it into a more formalized design process before we start looking at right-of-way and all of those things. Just so everybody knows, the engineering department has, in fact, at this point, secured a federal transportation grant of just over $5 million for the construction of Phase 1, and we are required to be under contract for Phase 1 by July of 2025. So what has been a conceptual design project for some time is quickly becoming reality in terms of the rehab of West Tusk. So in terms of large-scale transformative projects in a major corridor, this is an exciting first step that we're taking tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Smuckler?
this is then going to be a leverage project financially, is that correct, Service Director?
In terms of getting outside funding, I guess just make sure I'm answering the question clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of getting outside funding, so we're about $10 million shy of the 15. In talking with Dan, there are multiple places where we can go for outside funding in terms of securing it. Obviously, with it being a major corridor and a gateway corridor, we also have the comprehensive plan fund. But as I mentioned, in terms of the original $15 million estimate, that could change depending on how successful we are with grants. That can change one way or the other. Honestly, we can trim it down to make sure we spend our $5 million and supplement that with city funds once we get there. Or if things go well, we can always expand. So that's kind of the purpose of getting this under design now, is so that we're able to be flexible and, as you said, leverage this for additional outside monies.
Usually, though, we have to wait a number of years for outside monies. We are going to go ahead with this right away. Is that correct?
We currently, because we do have the $5 million that has been secured, we know that the project at some point will be done and will be under contract by 2025. So effectively, when you're looking at these things, it's common for us to do some initial design, and then you need the initial design so that we can show from a grant request standpoint that we have the project kind of shovel ready in the hopper. So between getting the design done and having $5 million worth of funding, we're confident that this is one that we'll be able to pursue for some of those other outside sources. Take, for example, just with one grant request with OPWC, we could request up to, I believe, $1.5 million there when the time comes. You add that to some other programs through ODOT. As we've seen with other projects, once we get the design in place so we have the shovel-ready project, you start to put together the funding package. So preliminarily, given the $5 million grant that we have already secured, we do feel like this is a very attractive project that we will be able to truly pursue and move forward.
Member Smith?
Yes. I just have a question in regards to this West Tusk corridor. Any chance that it can come to East Tusk corridor? I mean, that's a project, East Tusk corridor, I've been talking about for some years now. And I just wonder, you said it's going west, so we say it's going to start at 77, and it's going west. Okay, I'd just like to have a private conversation with you in regards to that.
Absolutely, Member Smith. And I would say, too, just so you know, the engineering department, we recently submitted the city's transportation plan to regional planning. A total overhaul of East Tusk is included on that. We have submitted for initial grants for East Tusk a couple of times. We haven't been as successful with that, but I'd be happy to have a discussion with you on that, because I can tell you, and anyone who knows me can tell you from a personal standpoint, I would say Tuscarawas, from city limit to city limit, is an area of concern and high priority. So I hear what you're saying. I agree 100%, and I certainly would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Chairman Skaggs.
Member Babcock?
Director, are you saying they won't start this project till 2025?
Yes, sir, and that is, if you think about the 11th Street project that I just mentioned about like Market South, so that's not going to be bid until, I believe, 2023, and we've been doing design and other items for that for the better part of about, 3 to 4 years. So it is common when you start to look at these, tens of millions of dollar multi-phase projects for it to literally be, a 5, 6, 7 year planning phase. And I know that was similar and kind of common when we looked at how we dealt with Mahoning Road and 12th Street. I've been with the city 8 years, and I know that was secured and was put in place well before my time with the city. And I actually got to literally through my time, all the way from helping write the first bid to getting to sign contract change orders. So it's been kind of a weird 8-year ride on a project like that. So yes, I am telling you, in terms of the big, large-scale project, Phase 1 is truly 2025. Now, that does not mean we're not aware of the other issues on West Tusk. From example, Broad to the city limits, we know that it is a road that needs attention. And so, similar to the work we did last fall through the street department, we're looking at ways where we can make sure that we get us to the finish line with this. So if the concern is from Broad till to the city border, it's not going to get paved for another 20 years. When you look at this timeline, no, that would not be the intent. The intent would be to make sure that we take care of the rest of the road while we're going through this more large-scale streetscape and overhaul.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I think a couple years ago they came in and told us that it was going to be at least 4 years. Now we're probably looking at about 10 years to get that road fixed.
Well, I'd say for the whole thing, honestly, yeah, you for phases 2 and 3, but it's all just contingent on how all of this goes. We do have some, if you look at ODOT's paving schedule, as everyone knows, they come in and do the state routes. The hope would be to be able to work with them to kind of address the other areas, and I think that's the timeline you're referencing. So our goal would be, when the time comes, to work with ODOT to get them to go to areas that we're not planning a large-scale overhaul on.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one last thing. I saw the clerk's hand signals, but I want it for the record. How long did Mahoning Road take, Councilman Doherty? 15 years. I understand. And I understand, but, and one thing that we all have to realize down here, as at-large council people, we get to watch this all across the city, but as ward council people, I know it's frustrating, but we try to divide this up. That's why there's the thing on the agenda for Ward 4 for the beautification of rentals. I understand that, but we're trying to do as many things, and especially with money getting leveraged too. And I am in full support of the East Tusk corridor, and you will have my utmost attention if you want me to attend the meeting also. Full support.
Any other questions? I'd just like to thank everybody on their work for this. I know the street department's done a lot to try to keep this street together, and I know they're going to have a lot of work to do yet. I know there's going to be a lot of development along here, so I just want to thank everyone for their work on this, and we'll sign this one out. We'll sign this out at 7:44. We'll call Environmental and Public Utilities Committee to order. This is ordinance 10 on your agenda, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into an easement agreement with the Ohio Power Company, a unit of American Electric Power, AEP, for the installation of an electric distribution system and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is effectively AEP asking the city for an easement in order for them to build infrastructure that will power up the city's camera system. That's why we're asking for the first reading passage.
Questions, concerns on this? Hearing none, we'll sign this one out at 7:45.
Council is reconvening after the recess. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we suspend Rule 22A and add ordinances 3 through 11 back to this evening's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to place ordinances 3 through 11 back on this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Ordinances 3 through 11 are a legal part of your agenda. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we suspend statutory rules of ordinances 3 through 11.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend the statutory rules on ordinances 3 through 11. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione. Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
You've heard the 3 readings, Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 3. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Leader?
Mr. President, I move we amend ordinance number 3 by the amendment before every council member.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend ordinance number 3 per the copy before each of you. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 3 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 3 as amended. Are there any remarks under this ordinance as amended? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 3 as amended has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 4. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock. Aye. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 4 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 5. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock. Aye. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 5 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 6.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 6. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock. Aye. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 6 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 7.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 7. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 7 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 8.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 8. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 8 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 9.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 9. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 9 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 10.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 10. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 10 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 11. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 11 has been adopted. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for the second reading. Mr. Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 12?
Ordinance authorizes the auditor to pay all moral obligations, Chemthorne Inc. expenses for a rental van and declaring same to be an emergency. For 13, ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 239, 2020, declaring same to be an emergency. For 14, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 239, 2020, declaring same to be an emergency. 15, an ordinance approving and accepting the replat of part of lots 12462 through 12466 and all of lots 41857, 41858, and 41860, and declaring same to be an emergency. For 16, an ordinance authorizing Canton Annex territory known as the Canton Service Center, 30th Street Northeast Annexation Area containing approximately 6.389 acres, more or less, assigning said territory to Ward 6 of the city. Zoning said territory as I-1 Light Industrial District I-1 and declaring same to be an emergency. For 17, an ordinance authorizing the auditor to pay G&H Photo Video LLC a more obligation amount not to exceed $1,819.79 for the fire department, declaring same to be an emergency. For 18, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public safety to enter into all sole source professional services contracts necessary with Y-Fiber LLC for additional cloud storage not to exceed $120,000 annually. Enter into all contracts necessary in accordance with any procurement process authorized by either Ohio Revised Code or Canton Codified Ordinances, and to enter into all professional services contracts for the installation of the above referenced hardware and software needed for the project, authorizing the auditor to pay all more obligations that arise with this project, declaring same to be an emergency. Number 19, ordinance authorizing the auditor to pay Massimo Americas, Inc. a more obligation amount not to exceed $3,360 for the fire department, declaring same to be an emergency. Number 20, an ordinance authorizing the lighting improvements at at the Stark US 30 Wrap Whipple interchange, declaring same to be an emergency. Number 21, an ordinance authorizing the appropriate officials to purchase and/or lease various title vehicles, advertise bids, award, and enter into contract for those purchases and any projects described in Exhibit A that exceeded any applicable dollar amount thresholds. Alternatively, enter into contract for the purchase and projects pursuant to any procurement process authorized by law, entering all professional services contracts described in Exhibit A, waives the informal resolution requirement, can't codified ordinance 105.09 for purchases approved through this ordinance, amending the 2020 final appropriation ordinance, declaring same to be an emergency. Mr. President.
Leader.
Mr. President, I move we suspend the statutory rules on ordinance number 21.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the statutory rules on ordinance number 21. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Aye. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries. You've heard the three readings. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 21.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 21. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 21 has been adopted. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their third final reading and vote. Mr. Clerk, please begin with ordinance number 22.
Ordinance to provide the issuance and sale of revenue bond anticipation notes in a maximum aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $3,250,000 to provide funds to pay a portion of the cost of acquiring, constructing, improving, furnishing, and equipping an economic development project in the city, authorized related matters, and declaring same to be an emergency.
Later.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 22. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 22 is adopted. Ordinance number 23, please.
Ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bond anticipation notes in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,300,000 for the purpose of paying the cost of acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, and improving city buildings, including without limitation the replacement of City Hall roof, Civic Center roof, and improvements to other city facilities.
Later.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 23. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 23 is adopted. Ordinance number 24, please.
Ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bond anticipation notes in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $700,000 for the purpose of providing funds to pay a court-approved settlement of a claim against the city.
Later.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 24. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 24 is adopted. Ordinance number 25, please.
Ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of revenue bond anticipation notes in the maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1,325,000, to provide funds to make a loan for economic development in the city, authorize related matters, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 25.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 25. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock. Aye. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 25 is adopted. Ordinance number 26, please.
Ordinance authorizing the auditor to pay all moral obligations for EnviroServe Inc. for expenses resulting prior to the passage of this ordinance and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 26.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 26. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock. Aye. Showman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 26 is adopted. Ordinance number 27, please.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor, director of public service to advertise, see bids, award, and enter into any and all contracts necessary for the purchase of one full-size cargo van, one 4x4 SUV, one small cargo van, one 4x4 pickup truck, one valve operator, one mini excavator, and one skid steer with trailer, or to alternatively purchase said items pursuant to any procurement process authorized by law and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 27.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 27. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 27, ordinance number 28, please.
Ordinance authorizing the auditor to pay all moral obligations for construction services related to the 44th Street Water Main Replacement Roadway Reconstruction Project and declaring same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 28.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 28. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Showman.
Aye.
Hawk. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 28 is adopted. We are now under announcement of committee meetings.
Mr. President,
Member Merrill.
Finance will meet April 5th at 6:45 here in council chambers.
Thank you, Member Merrill.
Mr. President,
Member Babcock.
personnel meet same time, same place.
Thank you, Member Babcock.
Public thoroughfares will meet the same time, same place.
No.
Clerk Doherty, I don't believe. I believe under committee meetings, it should be just finance and personnel, I believe. But thank you, Member Kimbrough. We are now under miscellaneous business. Is there any miscellaneous business for this evening?
Mr. President.
Leader?
Is the finance, Mark, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
The red block that was given to us, what was that, and what steps are we taking to rid ourselves of that?
Well, that one measures our capital assets, which are roads and bridges, And we're trying to determine why we're still scored at a red category.
This is John Hyman. I would also add, it's not just roads and bridges, it also encompasses all capital assets, buildings, water lines, sewer lines, basically everything. And it's my understanding it's based in part on our depreciated assets. And for example, here's one thing that we've been talking about. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about through the cleaning and televising of the city sewer system, we have a 100-year-old sewer. You know, we have some sewers that are literally 100 years or more older. When you look at it from a depreciated asset standpoint, that particular asset, you know, may be shown from an auditing standpoint as being in pretty bad shape. But then we go out and we do our cleaning and televising, and the sewer might not be near as bad as we thought. So that's, for example, one discussion that we've had in terms of why are we that low? It's a combination of all of those assets, and I mean, from a improvement standpoint, I think we can see the massive investments that we've made in all of these categories. So it's really something we need to try to, I believe, get a handle for why is it showing as red, and actually work with the various auditors' offices to do that.
Yeah, and also, Mr. Smuckler, the Auditor of State audit is going on right now, so when they come in, we'll have a conversation with them to see what they say would help us improve our score in that category.
Would you please send a written memo to share with the council people what that may be? There might be some projects in some of the various wards to help that out, depending on what we need to do here.
Okay, sure thing.
Number two, Mr. Mayor, the weather's getting warm. You and I had this conversation before, and I just want to make sure it's going to take place. I know there's some people in the audience that feel that there's a lot of money spent on various projects and maybe not quite enough on people. Will we be hiring summer help this year? Which is part of the budget.
Member Smuckler and members of council, and Fonda, if you're still here, you can also assist me with this, but we had a preliminary meeting last Friday afternoon, and that was a discussion with regard to the amount of money that we are receiving from the American Rescue Plan. And we anticipate beginning immediately with regard to at least reinitiating the hiring of the 15 to 20 high school / college students for the ambassador program that we ran, not last year in 2020 because it was eliminated because of COVID-19, but the program that we ran in 2019. So that is a program that we want to initiate immediately because of the benefits that it brought to us with regard to cleaning up our parks, other neighborhoods, litter, and so forth. That is one aspect of this. We still need to examine other hiring. And Fonda, I don't know if you're still here or not. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, I am, Mayor, and Member Smuckler. Yeah, we will, as we do every summer, we traditionally run the programs that the mayor just elaborated on, but we also look at additional programs we could add for the summer. For instance, I just had a conversation with the police chief, and he came up with a pretty creative program that we're trying to put together with our young people in the police department for the summer. So stay tuned on that. We'll bring that information to council. But yes, we will be doing additional hiring this summer to answer your question.
Service Director Hyman, as it's getting warm, there's one thing that I can't stand, and that's the grass growing in the neighborhoods, in the empty lots. Are we going to do that by hiring companies out, or have we talked about that yet?
Leader Smuckler, this is Director Hyman. I would just remind everybody this is actually a safety director function, but run through the building and code department. But to answer the question, yes, absolutely. We will do the same program that we have done for many years. It started in the street department, now moved to code. And JR, I know, has done that the last couple of years through code. And honestly, I know we talked about this when we moved it from street to code several years ago. And I do believe from just a personal standpoint, driving through the city, I do believe that was the correct move to make. Code has the enforcement capabilities. They're able to send people out, follow up on the mowing contractors. So although it is still a never-ending issue, I would just say, to Director Perry, the code department, JR, and his team, and the chief building official, Dodovich, they really have done a nice job, I believe, the last 2 years of taking that program over. But yes, it'll be outside contractors just like years past. Anything else to add, Director Perry?
I believe the contractors are already been provided with their contracts for the year, so they're ready to go.
Safety Director, will that begin as the grass grows, or that will begin on a certain date?
I can speak to that if you want me to. I would remind everybody that the issue is, if you go out there, and I've talked to both Steve and JR about this over the years, if you do the first cut too early, you're effectively, when it's growing in the spring, you'll be doing a second and third cut and a fourth cut before you ever really get anywhere. So effectively, when you see that first cut, it's usually sometime in May. And I know that sometimes can be frustrating, but the goal is to not end up doing like 4 or 5 cuts. Once they get in there and they do that first cut, when you see the grass start to stop its initial spring grow, then every year in the summertime you start to see it really be more effective at that point.
However, Leader Smuckler, if there's a complaint or something comes along, or they go past a property that they deem needs to be done immediately prior to that May date, they will take care of those properties.
My concern is this is an early spring, and we're getting 60, in fact, Wednesday it's supposed to be 70-degree weather. And I don't think the grass cares about May or April. It's just trying to get things done, and we're going to get plenty of phone calls as council goes. And I just understand to work through the building department. We normally do, and I'm sorry that I didn't go to the right area, but my concern is that people know what to do, how to do it, and because there is a certain frustration level, especially on the multi-lots that are owned by several individuals in this community who could care less and think we're a mowing service. And it's always very frustrating to me because I've been wanting to do something about these multi-lot owners who think we're a mowing service. We're not, we shouldn't be, but we also don't want the people in the community to have to live by some of these.
I agree.
Is there anything else under miscellaneous business?
Mr. President.
Member Merrill.
I just wanted to send a little congrats to Councilmember Scaglione on the exciting stuff happening on West Tusk, and pairing this with the cancer center going in. I think it's going to be a really good thing for the city. So congratulations to Member Scaglione, and congratulations to the city as a whole.
Thank you, Member Merrill.
Thank you, John.
Is there anything else under miscellaneous business? Member Smith, are you accepting donations for the April 3rd Easter egg hunt?
Yes, I am.
Okay, for the Ward 4?
Yes. Not really for Ward 4, it's for the city of Canton.
Okay. But that will be held at Crenshaw Park on April 3rd from 2 to 5 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Member Smith.
The food giveaway? Yes. The food giveaway is
Yep.
Saturday.
And So there is going to be another food giveaway at the Coleman Center, and what is the time, Member Smith?
1 to 5,
From 1 to 5 p.m.,
yes.
which I believe will also be taking donations to other facilities like the Babe Stern Center and some retirement communities within the city, and that's a very, very good thing. So, thank you, Member Smith. Clerk Doherty, our quote for the week, please.
One of the hardest things in life to learn are which bridges to cross and which bridges to burn. Oprah Winfrey.
Mr. President,
Leader.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock. Showman.
Aye.
Hawks. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Mario.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Absolutely.
10 yeas, Mr. President.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you for attending tonight.
Aye. Bye-bye.